It can be the topic.
We're live.
Well, you. What?
We're live. Could you come over here in the camera, in the picture? Oh.
What?
You were just talking about this one and this thing and that thing. And I said, we live. That's funny. Hey, everybody. It is us, the Jolleys.
I'm Dee.
I'm Willie Jolley. And we are the authors of the book, Make Love.
Make money.
Make it last. 10 Secrets for Shaping a Great Marriage. Hope you're ready for another episode of our Happily Married Mondays. And,
Well, you're so funny.
You are funny.
Okay, I'm funny. Okay. I make him laugh all the time.
She makes me laugh all the time, which is one of the secrets to our marriage, is humor. And
I had to get a sense of humor.
She had to get a sense of humor.
Did not have one.
Why don't you tell them that? Why?
When I got married, well, I come from a household where my father was a fire and brimstone minister, and we spent all of our time at church, going to church, leaving church, and I thought if you did anything wrong, you were going to go to hell.
Anything fun?
Anything fun. We never had a vacation. We worked 24/7 because my parents also had like 4 or 5 businesses. So,
right. So she did not have.
I didn't know what a vacation was, and I did not have a sense of humor. I never really laughed about anything. So there you go.
But that changed.
Oh, that had to change once I married you. In order to survive, I had to get a sense of humor, and that's a decision.
Yes.
Sense of humor is a decision. Yes.
Well, one of the things we talk about is in marriage is having a sense of humor, because a sense of humor where you can laugh at yourself and some of the funny things we do and we have done. So
you laugh instead of being annoyed.
Yeah. And you can have difficult conversations with a sense of humor. One of the pieces out of the book is Brad and Terry Thomas.
Yeah.
And they are dear friends.
Mm-hmm.
And
our vacation partners.
Yeah. And Bradley is just one joke after another. Just one after another.
He's an attorney.
He's an attorney.
He's very serious profession.
He's a very, very smart, brilliant attorney. He's an ANC commissioner in Washington, D.C. He's very smart. He's the executor for our estate. But he is a funny man. And his wife...
He's funny in everything.
He's funny. He's witty. That's the right word, witty. Mm-hmm. And he'll come up with quick wit kind of jokes or axioms that will make you laugh. His wife says, we rarely argue because I can't stay mad with him long because he's going to make me laugh. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we find that people who laugh together, pray together, eat together, hold hands together, tend to stay together.
That means you're best friends.
You're best friends. So, chapter number 1 in the book, friends first.
Yes.
And one of the points we talk about is the power and the importance of humor. So, my wife developed it. She didn't come.
And it was a decision that I made that, okay, this is a crazy life. I chose it. I had to remember that I chose this person and I chose this environment. And he's an extrovert and I'm an introvert. And that's a whole nother conversation.
Well, we're going to touch on that tonight.
We're going to touch on that tonight.
Yeah, we're going to touch on that tonight.
Okay.
All
So,
right.
what are we talking about tonight, Willie?
Well, we're going to talk about being alone.
Finding time alone from your spouse. Is that really necessary? And really, how do you do it?
How do you do it? So, why don't we start with the question?
All right. So, here's a question.
A question that came in, and we encourage you to send your questions. Okay.
This came via email. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Jolley. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us. This is my question. How do you respectfully tell your spouse, your partner, that you feel suffocated by all the time spent together and endless expressions of love? Wow. I know I sound crazy. What woman doesn't want her man to compliment her and tell her he loves her? My problem is it's all day, every day. I counted his I love yous this past Saturday, and he said it 56 times. He's definitely the talker of us two. But to hear the same thing all the time doesn't feel genuine. Of course, I tell him I love him too. I compliment him regularly, just not so much that it's a broken record. I want him to feel my emotions behind it. I find myself sometimes ignoring him as he talks because it's just too much. Thanks, and I'm excited about tonight's Facebook Live session. And I won't give her name. Thank you so much.
And I'm laughing for a specific reason, not because of the letter. The letter was just timely.
Very timely.
Very timely. Because my wife. Last night.
We had a challenging weekend.
We came from a family reunion where my family, now we've been with her family the early part of the week.
For a wedding on the 4th of July.
On the 4th of July. I was the dutiful husband.
He was.
Whatever it took, whatever she wanted to do, but on Sunday we go to my family reunion. So I get to see all my kinfolk down the country, as we like to say. And I love my kinfolks down the country, so I'm over the top.
He's extra.
I am lit.
With everybody.
Somebody said lit. I am lit. Or I'm extra. Whatever you want to call it. So by the 4th or 5th home we visited, what we call pop calls to cousins and so on.
Did you hear what he said? He said 4th or 5th home that we visited on Sunday when we left here at 9:30 in the morning, and now we've gone to church. We fellowship with the church dinner because there's an evening service coming up, and now we're visiting homes.
Right, we go to my uncle's house and
4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
We've been there for a couple hours with all my
sitting
other
on the
cousins.
front porch, rocking,
and
talking.
then we go to another house, and then we go to another house, and then we go to another house.
And with each house,
go ahead, say it. I know what you want to say.
What want to say?
You want to say each house, each time I get more animated.
He's more animated. He's more extra. He's more excited.
Because I'm getting to see all my cousins.
Yes.
And my kinfolk. And I love them. Well, we get to the last house. We stay there for a little while. And then she says, I'm tired. So I start driving. So she had mentioned to me that she was hungry when we left one of the houses because she hadn't eaten a lot at the luncheon. So we were probably 45 minutes into the drive. I say, let's stop and get something to eat. I pull over and I say to her, would you like something to eat? What would you like to eat? Her response was, I need some space. I said, that wasn't my question. What is that all about? What is that? Where did that come from? It came out of nowhere. I go in and get some food, and I come back and I said, you hurt my feelings.
I said I apologize before you said I hurt your feelings.
I know, but I said, you hurt my feelings.
But I said I apologize before you said you hurt my feelings.
But I had to explain it.
I know, but
now, there's a lesson here I want everybody to hear. 2 things. 1, I'm an extrovert. She's an introvert.
And we talk about that all the time. So that's the beginning. So we kind of know where we're going.
And if you read the book, you'll see that. I'm an extrovert. She's an introvert.
He's lit all the time.
I'm in a high energy. Now, except when I'm around the house, around here. My son he's sitting over there. He'll tell the world that people ask him all the time, you live with Willie Jolley? He must be motivating you all the time. He says, actually, no. Dad is pretty quiet. He only says when he says something to me, it's pretty much in a story, and it says he gives a message, and he goes on. It's my mother who does all the talking in the house. But outside the house is switched. Anyway, 1 is extrovert, introvert. So I was having lunch with a gentleman.
Back to the late.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm getting to the question because it's very important. And we're going to answer the question separately.
All right.
But I want to set this up. The gentleman is Forrest Lamb, was at a conference I attended on Saturday, and he said something. He said, my wife and I love your book, love your messaging. My wife's an introvert. And he's an extrovert. He said, I can be talking, and all she will say is, mm-hmm. I don't even know if she even hears me, because she doesn't hardly say anything. Yet that night, when she's talking to my daughter, she can repeat almost verbatim everything I said. So I realized that she hears me. She just responds differently because she's an introvert. And here's the message to the answer to the question. That people are hardwired differently. That they are different personality types. And therefore, they will respond differently. And so the answer to her question is, she says she feels suffocated because her husband exudes so much over the top, and it wears her out. And that is why it is important for you to have the 4 F's in your conversation. Be friendly, don't be hostile. Be frank. It's wearing me out. Be fair. Understand you love me and you want to say it, but it's wearing me out. It's the conversation that is, the final F is focused on a positive result. My wife would say to me, I can't.
You have used my words and your words.
She'll say, sometimes I have no more words. I have no
So he understands.
And
okay,
I understand that.
Okay, I remember D is an introvert.
I get
so
it.
She's hanging out with me. She's doing all these things with me, but it is wearing her down because an introvert doesn't mean you don't like people. It means you get rejuvenated by time alone and quiet time. So while he might be responding and over the top, it doesn't mean that I am any less responsive. It's just that the execution of the response is different than his.
That's right.
So we have learned and discussed our different styles. And so I know that when he is out in his world, that his personality escalates. When we go to conferences, when he's speaking, and I work at that because I understand that, and he understands, when Dee starts to, I have no more words and it's time for me to go to my room, I tell him that because
I can't take it.
Right, because we know that. For me, I would say it's the communicating, not in the midst of having him say, I love you 56 times. You said I love you 56 times. This is driving me crazy. But during the course of just your friendly fellowshipping together and saying how you process.
Again, goes back to what we talked about last week. This is how that makes me feel.
I know you love me.
I know you love me. But it's overwhelming me. And I can't handle it because I'm an introvert. I'm wired differently.
So this is how this makes me feel. What I said to Billy yesterday after I apologized, because I had taken it all in until I couldn't take no more all day. No more. And when he said, do you want something to eat? And I knew when it was coming out of my mouth that it wasn't the right thing to say. I knew that. But it was like I couldn't help myself. So what we do when we know we mess up, we apologize quickly. So then he still had to talk about it. You hurt my feelings. Okay. But then I said, honey, you know what? By the time we got to the last household, and the conversation just kept going and going, and I was antsy. I felt like my nerve endings were being attacked. I was like, I was doing all I could to hold it together and not say anything untowards to anybody else because they don't know me like he knows me.
So the answer.
So we can talk about everything.
So why don't you answer the lady's question directly from your perspective? And
yes. So I would say,
let's read one more time.
Okay.
Pull it up again for me so that it can be read one more time. So.
Okay.
Oh, and you can email folks.
How do you respectfully tell your spouse or partner that you feel suffocated by all the time spent together in endless expressions of love? I know it sounds crazy. What woman doesn't want her man to compliment her and tell her he loves her? My problem is it's all day, every day. I've counted the times. This past Saturday was 56 times. Of course, I tell him I love him too. I compliment him regularly, not so much that it's a broken record. I want him to feel my emotions behind it. I find myself sometimes ignoring him as he talks because it's just too much. It's not too much for him.
No.
That's just how he is.
Right.
That's how he's wired. And so you have to, that is how he's wired. So you don't want to hurt his feelings. Like,
but be friendly, be frank. Here's how it makes me feel. Be fair. I know that's how you wired. I get that. But let me tell you how I'm wired.
Right.
Because sometimes people don't understand how that their spouse doesn't process.
But if you don't explain and in story form and share, like I said to Willie yesterday, we deal with this. We travel together, do things. My nerve endings were gone. They were shot. So I spoke untowards and said what I said because I couldn't control it anymore. I needed time away from him.
She needed quiet. She just needed.
I needed quiet time.
Look, we were driving, and she said, "Turn off the music, please. Turn off the air conditioner.
I know.
Turn off everything. I can't handle no more."
I needed quiet, and sometimes I would just say. But we've been doing it for so long now that it's funny.
All right, and now let me answer.
But it's talking about how the communication makes you feel.
Yes.
Not when he said it 56 times and you're frustrated.
Right.
You know, sweetheart, I love you, and this is how I show you I love you. He's showing you he loves you by words.
Yes.
Perhaps that's his love language.
Right.
What is your love language?
Right.
And then you have to say, I like it when you do it like this. He might not know. He might think that saying I love you 100 times a day is sufficient.
And it's the way to make you happy.
Yes.
And you have to say, I don't need that. Let me tell you what makes me happy and how. Now, one more thing I want to.
Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time and attention. Maybe it's holding hands. Maybe it's buying a little gift or doing something special and different.
Let me answer my perspective to that question. In the book, we talk about the greatest relationships are when one person. Well, let me preface this by saying the power in a relationship is the person who loves the least has the power.
At that moment.
So if one person loves the other person more than the person who loves...
I loved you more yesterday because I hung out all day long.
That's right.
With your relatives and listened to the stories of when you were a terrible 2, 5, 10-year-old.
So the best relationships are seesaws when the power vacillates. Earlier this week, I loved her more.
You did.
Because I was a dutiful husband. I sat quietly.
You drove for 5 hours?
I drove to North Carolina to her. She said she didn't want to fly. I said, I'll drive. She wanted to be able to go around her relative. No problem. One stop on the way. I did that. This week, she loved me more.
Yes.
And the best relationships are when the love vacillates. Who loves
But
who
you
more.
have to talk about everything,
Yes.
this is how this makes me feel, and how can we work that out together.
Right. So talk about some of the ways that we define alone time.
So, alone time.
She needs alone time. So she
now,
goes
experts say that that's good,
Mm-hmm.
that it's normal, that it's necessary, and that it's healthy. And without breathing space in a relationship, you end up being like what we were yesterday afternoon, So what is alone time? It's a chance to kind of enjoy your own time in your own space. Now, Willie says, I don't really need He doesn't need it like I need it. Right. Okay.
But I go out on my bicycle and I think about ideas. But if I had a bicycle for two, I would take her with me.
Right. I don't know how to ride a bike.
She don't know how to ride a bike, so
I'm not interested in riding a bike. Okay, so here we go. So, and alone time is also affected by the kind of personality you have, an extrovert versus an introvert. And you say, well, how do you get there? How do you have alone time? Okay, there's some things you can do. Like, I get up and I go to the gym. I go to yoga at 5 o'clock in the morning because that's a good time. Because he doesn't wake up until later. So I can have alone time before he wakes up in the morning because I need that to focus my day. And because he's an extrovert and he's always talking, he's always doing things, and I don't have the same focus when I'm in his space. So I know I must get my focus earlier because we work together, we do everything together. So I have to get my focus earlier. So you really have to know who you are.
Right.
Once you studied yourself and know what your limitations are, then you're in a position to say, okay, here's some things that I can do, and this is what alone time might look like to me. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's a spa day. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You said you ride your bike. So we have a friend, Dexter and Biddy. Dexter rides his motorcycle out in the country after church on Sunday.
Yep.
Now, a lady I was talking to when we were in North Carolina at the wedding, she does hand dancing. Mm-hmm. I said, you do hand dancing? Now, her husband is deceased. So I said, how do you... She does hand dancing. She said, when you do hand dancing, you don't have to have a partner. I thought you did.
Wow.
So they just go and they just line up and they just work through the steps.
I want to share this thought, because go back to the question, as well as to the whole concept, is that alone time is important for you to get your thoughts.
Allows you to think through your own issues.
So here's what I would say for the lady who sent in the letter, to your husband. First of all, you don't want to hurt his feelings.
Absolutely
don't want to hurt his feelings. And he's so effusive about his love. He loves you. Praise the Lord. We want more
There's
men.
More. There needs to be
we
more
want more of that. We want more men telling their wives they love them and saying it often. Here's the thing, though. Just tell him how you are smothered, but not in that word. You don't want to say, you're smothering me. Rather, as an introvert, I can get overwhelmed. And when I do, it just starts to close in on that. I hope and try to explain to him how that feels. Tell a story, tell a narrative, a descriptor about how that is. And that the fact is, I don't need you to tell me 100 times a day that I love you. Love me. That's not.
You show me.
You show me every day by what you do. I know you love me, and I want you to tell me, and I love you, and I appreciate you, and in our actions, more so than just our words.
And it's not. So if you say, you know what, you don't have to say it 56 times a day, but then if you're going to say that, then you need to replace it with something else. You know what? Let's walk and hold hands in the evening after
hold
work.
Hands.
Yeah,
we've been talking about this.
This
walking and talking and holding hands, because it's a jump start to your relationship. We hold hands whenever we hold hands, and everywhere, to the airports, walking down the street,
Walmart.
At church, at Walmart, we hold hands, and it's a jump start. And as the older gentleman told me and my wife early on when we got married, hold hands, because you're not just holding hands, you're holding hearts.
Yes.
So we want to encourage that. We want to encourage. Now, I hope you have gotten the book. I hope everybody gets the book. If you don't have this book, and you don't have a copy for each of you, then you're doing a disservice. I had a long conversation tonight with a friend. I have been trying to find her for a year. Her husband is a friend as well, or her ex-husband.
Oh, okay.
And they went through a divorce, and I learned of it. And I've been trying to find her because I wanted her to know that because they divorced, we didn't divorce them. And she said how much that meant to her. And I shared with her a quote I say to married couples. Marriage and life, you're juggling balls. You're a juggler. You've got church, community, careers,
Children.
Children, family members, by family, extended family, you've got friends, but then you've got your spouse. Now, most of those balls, not the children and the family, but the job, the career, the community, they are rubber. You drop one, it'll bounce. The family, that's glass. So you need to keep your eye on that ball. And I made a point to keep my eye on that ball. And when my career would get a little busy, too busy, I pull back. Because nothing's more important than that glass ball. And so I want to encourage you to make sure that you do that. So I called her and I said, I've looked for you. I put out a search party. I've looked everywhere for you because I want to let you know Dee and I love you. And because you and your husband, who is our friend, you are our friend as well. She said, you know, I thought some people said they had to make a choice between us. I said, not us. That's not going to happen. We don't divorce our friends if they divorce. That we want them to stay together, and we'll do everything we can. So we want you to get the book because it's cheaper than a divorce. Okay. And second, we want you to get the audio. Pre-order the audio live from Grace Church. It is dynamite. Third thing I want you to do is I want you to go to jollymarriage.com/webinar. And get the webinar we did.
That shares the 10 secrets.
That shares all 10 secrets. Yes. That it is powerful. Get that. Watch it together and go through that webinar. And finally, we have heard your calls, your requests, your insistence that we do a seminar, a marriage seminar. So we're doing
a live event.
A live event. We're going to do a live event.
It'll be in September.
It looks like the end of September.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and for those who are not local in Washington, D.C., we'll be able to access that live in real time online. So everybody globally can access it at the same time. Is that good? And you can get wonderful responses in real time from us. We'll be able to see it. If you're live in the room, we'll answer your questions. But also, if you're online, you can send us the questions and we'll be able to see them as well. So that will be coming up in September. But in the meantime, get the jollymarriage.com/webinar. Now, if you want to send a question, my son is over there making sure we tell you how to get your questions. You go to jollymarriage.com and you can send a question right from there. Or you can just send it to info@williejolly.com. Info, INF as in Frank O, @williejolly.com. And I think that's probably Cheryl texting me saying, here, make sure to tell people that we're working on the date and the place for the marriage seminar. Which
for September, yes.
In September. So Cheryl getting emails and calls from people every day. We're grateful. We're grateful for the PBS piece we did with Rock Newman. So many people have seen it. We were
very popular.
In North Carolina at the wedding on Wednesday, 4th of July. A lady came over to us and said, I saw that interview with Rock Newman on PBS. One of the best interviews I have ever seen. I need that book right now. She said, please.
And of course he had some books in the trunk of the car.
Hello. Don't forget the bridge that brought me across. I have always sold books out of the trunk of my car before I had them in the bookstore. Before I was a best-selling author, I was selling books out of the back of my car. So, I had some in the car.
Okay, so.
Okay.
Next week we're not here.
Nope, next week we won't be on. Because we'll be at the National Speakers Association Convention in Dallas, Texas. Now, if you're in Dallas area, reach out to us. Maybe we'll find a way to do something while we're there. Hey, who knows? In the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
But maybe. The week after,
we hope
the topic is going to be...
What's the topic going to be? Next episode.
Next episode is going to be strategies for being a helpful spouse when your mate is a public figure. How about that?
All right.
That's interesting.
Help meet.
Help.
And help mate. Uh-huh. We'll talk about those.
Help me and help mate?
Help meet. Why the Bible calls it a help meet versus a help mate. It's a very,
I don't know.
We'll deal with that on the next.
Okay.
That's called a cliffhanger. You got to come back next episode to figure that out, where I'll share that with you. It's profound. So, let's see, 9:30.
Okay.
Our time is up. Let's go through the things we want people to do. Thank you first for your letters. Please keep sending your questions.
Yes.
Thank you for the letter who sent tonight. I hope that helped you. If it did not, send us your
Well, let
question.
us know.
Let us know. We will respond to you. Second, we want you to get the book. Get 2 copies. Jolly Marriage is not on Amazon. It's not in bookstores yet. So get this, and then get the audio from live, and finally get the jollymarriage.com/webinar. And yes, we will be doing a live event in September. Boom.
Yep.
Thank you, William, our producer. And thank you, Dee. And thank you, all the people who have chimed in.
Jolly
And keep
out.
telling your friends about this. Tell Lottie, Dottie, and everybody.
Yes.
We want more people to be able to access this. All right? God bless. Jolly out.